In the past couple of years, I've grown my LinkedIn account from 0 to 33,000 followers. These were responsible for booking over 1,200 qualified sales meetings for my team, which actually turned into over 3.6 million in annual recurring revenue. To achieve this, I've had to write a lot of high-quality publications on the platform, which took a lot of time. That said, you can actually save hours on creating posts if you leverage the right technologies. So today, I will talk about the 10 LinkedIn and AI tools you need to know to grow fast on the platform, which help me and my team come up with viral post ideas by creating visual assets that 3x the reach of our posts and much more. Now, if you're watching this video, I suppose you're already convinced that LinkedIn is a great acquisition channel for growing or marketing a business. If you aren't yet, let me share with you a couple of stats that will help you understand that LinkedIn is the greatest opportunity for B2B acquisition at the moment. And so first, it's free advertising. My content alone generated over 10 million views in the last 2 years. If I wanted to get as many views with ads, assuming an average cost per 1,000 views of $30, I'd have to spend at least $300,000 to get as much visibility, which makes you wonder why there aren't more people doing it. Think about this. LinkedIn has only 310 million monthly active users, but only 3 million of these users post weekly. In comparison, 20% of Facebook users regularly share content. It's even more for Instagram, as 25% of people regularly post, and Twitter, or X, tops this with 35% of users being identified as creators on the platform. And the best thing about this, in addition to having less competition, the people who read your post will be startup founders, executives, corporate leaders, and people with high purchasing power overall. And so this brings me to my last point. You can book a lot of very qualified meetings. And so for us, it's been up to 300 per month, and it's pretty common to hear people booking 50 qualified meetings per month without even having a big following. And the best thing about these leads is that typically we're exposed to so much of your content that by the time they decide to jump on a call with you, they are already sold. And so it actually happened a couple of times for me to be on a call with someone who was like, "Hey Mitch, I don't need to hear your pitch. I just want to know when we can get started and how to make the payment." So let me share the 10 LinkedIn tools my team and I used to reach a combined 150,000 LinkedIn followers, as well as generate more than 25 million impressions on the platform. So the first one is Taplio, and I believe it's one of the few platforms that has an entire suite of tools for LinkedIn posting. That is, features that help you find viral posts in your niche, an AI writer that helps you craft the outline for your posts or write them entirely, an analytics solution to help you track posts and follower growth, and even an integrated Kanban board and a calendar to help you plan your content ahead of time. Personally, I mostly use Taplio for content ideation and to gain inspiration for how to structure my posts. And so I want to show you an example in my niche, the cold email niche. So here, as you can see, I'm inside of Taplio. They have this feed that actually curates a viral post. And so I can actually apply some filters here. For example, I said, I want all of these posts to be talking about either sales, prospecting, or outbound. And then I can talk about the topics I usually talk about. So here in this case, I'm saying I usually post about outbound prospecting and sales software. So now Taplio knows to show this kind of post to me. And then you can add a personal description. And in my case, I'm saying I'm an outbound sales expert for the sake of the example. And then you can choose which platform you want to see posts from. So you have Twitter and you have LinkedIn. And you can actually also filter the type of post. Lastly, you can filter for how recently those posts were written. Here I'm putting the last 90 days, and then you can apply the filters. And once you apply the filters, then you are looking at all of these posts. And so typically what you want to do when you see these posts is you want to understand why a post went viral. There are a lot of different formats and structure as to how you can write posts. And so typically what I do when I look at this post is I try to find some inspiration, and I try to understand what made some of these posts go viral. I would look at the visual or at the hook. So here, for example, you have a post that I find pretty interesting. So this girl is writing a post in an interesting way. So I guess the takeaway from this is that if you keep going, you'll get a yes. What I did here is that you will want to find some inspiration. And so, for example, I could think about my personal story, so like my first campaigns, and you can actually reuse the format for other things. So, for example, one thing I could do is I could actually make a post on LinkedIn where I describe how I had to post 31 times before I get any leads. Now, I enjoy watching a feed of LinkedIn posts that perform well for inspiration, but what I like even more is looking at some specific creators' content and seeing which of their posts outperform, which is why I want to talk about Cleo. Cleo is a great tool for content ideation, but the main difference is that instead of looking for high-performing posts based on a niche or a keyword like the cold email niche, you can use their browser extension to find high-performing posts written by a specific person. And so you can browse the LinkedIn profiles of your favorite content creators, and Cleo will help you sort their posts by the ones that had either the most likes, the most reposts, the most comments, or that were the oldest or newest best depending on how you want to sort these posts. And so let me show you a quick example of this. So there's this sales influencer, and using Cleo, I'm able to see his all-time best liked post. So you can see the hook of the post is, I'm turning 40 next month. I've been in sales for 17 years and manage hundreds of AEs. Here are the top 10 things I wish I'd known when starting out. And then he has 10 points he describes, and you can see the post has 1,000 likes. Typically when a post has 1,000 likes, it probably means that it had between 50 to 150,000 impressions. So you know for a fact that the post was successful. And so funny enough, when I first saw this post, it was about to be my birthday a few days later. And so I figured I can actually gain inspiration from the way he wrote this hook and then give my own advice. And so what I've done is that instead of saying I'm turning 40, I was not turning 40, I said I turned 30. And then I talked about my personal experience and I wrote a post about it where I wrote, I'm turning 30 today. I launched and failed 7+ businesses, earned 5 figures per month while traveling the world at 23, then lost it all and finally went on to grow my agency to 3 million per year. And so here are the top 9 things I wish I knew when I started. So as you can see, I really gained inspiration from the way he hooked his post. But as you can see, I didn't copy the post because I'm not gonna share his experience. I just want to share my own experience. And as you can see, the post has like 423 likes. This was actually one of my best performing posts. And I guess it's thanks to the fact that this hook was somehow a proven hook. And so what you want to do is you want to use these frameworks where you go on some of your favorite LinkedIn content creators. You look at how they hook their posts. You look at the visuals they use. You try to study why the post performed well, and then you can try to rewrite this post, but using your own experience or your own expertise. Another thing I like about Cleo is that they have this post preview feature. And so what I can do is when I'm drafting this post, I can see how they will look like once they are published. One other thing you can see is you got these red underlines. And so this is not a LinkedIn tool per se, but I use Grammarly to correct my sentences because as you may have heard, I'm not a native English speaker. You can let it sit in the background and then correct a few punctuation mistakes you might make. And at the same time, it also suggests some rewrite for sentences when they are too long. I think it's a no-brainer, not a LinkedIn tool per se, but writing some posts without grammatical mistakes will go a long way in improve your success on the platform. So the next one I want to talk about is Opus Pro. And in their world, they're an AI video clipping tool. Essentially, that means that you feed a long form video you made to the platform, and Opus will automatically come up with short form clips and subtitles. So let me show you a quick demo of this with a video of mine. So here, for example, I had a podcast with Lemley's CEO that lasts 124 minutes, and something I like to do is just feeds these kind of videos to Opus, and then it comes up with some short form clips I can then post on LinkedIn, and that sometimes generates a good amount of impressions. So here, what you can do is you can just copy paste this YouTube link, you can paste it here, it then comes up with some shorts, and it actually ranks them based on the hook, flow, value, trend. And so it will not be as great as if you had a professional video editor, but it's extremely quick. And I've actually published a few of these reels on LinkedIn, which performed pretty well because I think I had somewhere around 43,000 impressions on one of these. I think another one had 25,000 impressions. Next up, I want to talk about Screen Studio, and it's simply a screen recording app that does some fancy zooms and dezooms automatically, which make your screen recording look much more fancy than they actually are. So here you can see it gives you the option to record the whole display, a specific window, or just an area, or even connect an external device. Here, for example, I had this post I made using Screen Studio, and as you can see, as I was making a screen recording, it had these automatic zooms and dezooms, which makes this video look pretty fancy. And for some reason, people on LinkedIn seem to appreciate those screen recording. So it's something to consider. If you are going to be recording on your screen, then you might want to use Screen Studio because it will just make them look better. Another platform I like to use is EasyGIF, and it's a very simple platform because one of the things it does is that it turns videos into GIF, and in my experience, you get better reach by posting a 10-second GIF than a 10-second video on LinkedIn. So if you're planning to post a very short video that doesn't have any audio, I'd recommend that you change the format and you speed it up by publishing it as a GIF. Here, for example, I got this video with Prospeo. I can simply upload it. And so here, as you can see, this was a video where I'm showing how you can find mobile numbers using Prospeo. The video takes 18 seconds. So what I did is simply sped it up, multiplied it by 2. So now it only takes 9 seconds. And the fact that it takes 9 seconds and it goes faster makes people on LinkedIn want to look at what's going on. So it just makes it more compelling to watch. And then you can turn it into a GIF. And so I have a few examples where turning these videos into GIF has had a huge impact on how many impressions I get. That's something I recommend doing as well. And it's as simple as just importing your videos into easygif.com. So now I want to talk about Claude. And so Claude is an AI model that you can interact with through chat. It's the same idea as as ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and other AI models, but for some reason, I'm more of a fan of Claude than the other ones when it comes to helping me write hooks or sentences. And so typically, I will use Claude to help me come up with hooks variations based on a post I've written when I already wrote the body of the post, or to help me brainstorm what made a post go viral so that I can replicate the fit. And so let me give you an example. Around 1 month ago, my business partner, Alex Vaca, went completely viral on LinkedIn by sharing a carousel of AI agents. It got over 500,000 views and close to 1,700 likes. And so the funny thing is, I had published the same carousel a few times as well, months ago, and it had done well every time, but not just as well. What I did is I fed the publication to Claude to understand what was the main difference between my post and his, and I simply asked it, what makes the post go viral in your opinion? So here's the post, and here is Claude's assessment of why the post went viral. It's a combination of several key factors. 1, it promises a major business transformation. 2, it poses an intriguing question. 3, it provides specific actionable information. 4, it creates FOMO. And 5, it ends with an engaging question to drive comments. Let me try to do one better and see what happens. Here you can find my post. I asked Claude to give me some ideas that would include a bold claim and that would also include the year 2025, just because that's something that I've seen working pretty well at the moment on LinkedIn. Here you can see it spits me a good amount of hooks to give me some inspiration. And so based on the hook I've seen, I came up with the following hook, which is AI agents will revolutionize client acquisition in 2025. So this was a breakdown of Claude, bold claim, and at the same time 2025, something that's happening right now. On the Claude analysis, it said it poses an intriguing question that challenged conventional thinking about a sales department. That was the what if a sales department could run itself, Alex wrote right here. And it also said it provides specific actionable information. So in this case, 5 AI sales tools. And so you can see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 AI sales tools. I couldn't think of any intriguing question, but I like the third point about the specific actionable information. So I thought, what if I provide even more tools, but I categorize them by use case so that I make it even more actionable. And so because I kind of changed the angle of the post slightly, I wanted to stress out how much time I spent overall searching these AI agents. And so my second line became, I spent 150 plus hours researching the best ones that blah, blah, blah. And so as you can see, I also followed up with some use cases, as you can read here in the post, deeply research potential customers, categorize and manage prospect replies, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then the rest of the post simply mentions how hardest categories and tools can be used. So it's the same idea as Alex's post, but slightly more in-depth and with more examples. And so finally, the last point was it ends with an engaging question to drive comments. So in Alex's case, he says, would you already start implementing AI agents in your business? Which I think is a great way to have business owners explain if they've done so. And so in my case, I simply ask, did I miss one? As to invite people to mention their favorite agent so that it would create some engagement in the comments, which ultimately has a positive impact on the reach of your LinkedIn post. As a result, this post didn't go as viral as Alex's post. As you can see, I have 593 likes on this one, while he has 1,600, but it actually has had 89,667 impressions. The next tool I want to talk about is Figma. I don't personally use Figma, but I have a team of designers that use it to create visuals for me. One of the reasons why you need to be using visuals on LinkedIn is that you could be publishing the exact same post, and the fact that it has a great image, infographic, or video could go as far as multiplying by 5 the reach of this post. And so here, for example, you can see this is some kind of Figma board that our designer Clara made with some of the infographic I've been publishing on LinkedIn. If you want some example of what great visuals look like for LinkedIn, I'd recommend checking my account. People like Pierre Rubel, Nick Brockma, Robert Kasminski, and this give you a good overview of the kind of visuals you should strive to get on your own post. And I can tell you as a fact that these visuals will have a huge impact on the results of your post. If you don't know how to use Figma, I'd recommend using Canva. It's actually the platform I first used when starting out on LinkedIn when I didn't have a team of designers. And my first publications that started outperforming were done with Canva. And so I mentioned Pierre Rebel earlier, who is a content creator with over 130,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I know for a fact that he uses Canva for his design. There are a lot of great things you can do within the tool. Finally, I use Notion as my content planner. And so this is where I note down all of my post ideas, I draft my post in it, and I have a calendar for which post should be published when, so you can see all of the posts are already scheduled. And it might not seem that important, but I promise you, if you want to be consistent at LinkedIn posting, you will soon realize that you lose a lot of time not even knowing what you're posting about on the day. Now look, these tools are great, but they won't do much if you don't have a proper LinkedIn content strategy in place. And if you're wondering how to get started and gain your first 10,000 followers on the platform, I recorded a step-by-step video that lays out exactly how I did it, and also how I trained 500 people in my team to grow above 10,000 followers as well. So the video should appear right here, and on that note, I wish you a fantastic day. Bye-bye.